You sold in 2021, 2022. How would you describe your experience?
Smooth, really, unbelievably smooth. And it needed to be a smooth transaction as far as I was concerned as a seller, because it was a big property to sell. We weren't buying anything else concurrent with that, but what I was doing at the time was managing an exit from a rental property, which then needed renovating to a certain date to move in. I needed the sale of that property to go smoothly because I actually didn't have an awful lot of time to put into selling it. So that's where my estate agent took hold of the reins. As he said he would right at the start, that was the service you were offering. And I can honestly say, with the exception of one minor glitch, and that was all to do with the septic tank, it went smoothly. We chose to have the photographs done in the summer just because of the lovely garden.
Yeah.
So we knew that that would give us the best photographic material.
Yep.
Even at the time that you were photographing and doing all your filming, we'd still not made the decision then when to go live, but we just knew that the pictures needed to be done then.
Yeah.
I believe we went live around about mid-September. It was not much more than a couple of weeks before we actually took an offer on it. The starting process was unbelievably smooth. The paperwork process was the bit that I remembered. You just did all of the administration side unbelievably smoothly and quickly, with me sitting at the side of you, just giving you the bits of detail that you needed. Really, our involvement, even with Karen, the solicitor, didn't come till very, very late on in the process because you managed that along the way. And you fed any questions back to us in simple English rather than solicitor jargon. Yeah, if I'm going to use one word as to how did that sale go, unbelievably smoothly.
That's really should be the point of any estate agent, really. That you're employing them and paying them a fee to do a job, and that job is to about managing the process,
Yeah.
helping you with my experience and knowledge. For example, the paperwork we referred to, the
Mm.
solicitor's protocol forms, it can be lengthy if you don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
But a lot of the language in there is somewhat foreign if you don't know
Yeah.
what you're referring to. But dig up lots of different guarantees and
We
certificates and
did.
scan them all, which doing that at the start
Yeah.
just meant that Karen had everything to crack on with her
Yeah.
job and
Yeah.
leave us alone, which the best way for her to work was to leave her alone at the
And for
same
you
time.
actually to come to the house, set up with your laptop at the dining room table, tell me what you needed. I went off to me admin folder, found the certificate, found the piece of paper. You scanned it there and then. Off it went. If I'd have done it myself, that could have been probably a 4.5 hour process. I think we rattled it off in under an hour. And then that was that done. I didn't need to go back to that unless Karen raised any queries. And then you fed them back to me. And it was, we weren't firefighting, but my recollection of those processes, sometimes it was like knitting fog, trying to work out what do they want from me. Yeah, you did what you said on the tin and you made the process smooth.
What did you learn about the selling process and estate agency?
I learned that it doesn't need to be a difficult, confusing process if you are being managed along by an estate agent that A, knows what they're doing, and B, keeps their focus on the steps of the sale, or the buy-in. Very much learned that it doesn't need to be frightening or confusing if you're helped along, by the right professional.
But bear in mind the fact that you're obviously working throughout the course of the week, course of the day, back and forth, the dogs, other things you got to do. How handy was it to have that message coming through that you could just refer to when you're free, like on WhatsApp? And
Yeah, it was great. The other thing you've now triggered my memory on for that, it was great to know that we had got that team Main Road, as we called ourselves.
yeah,
And it was great to know that right from day one, we formed that little bubble. Not there for anyone to abuse, because people have weekends, people should be able to have their evenings. So not there for me to just suddenly think at 11:30 at night, oh, I need John to give me an answer to this. But it was just nice to know that I could either go back over things that we'd said, messages that we'd put, I could read it again, or that I could put any further queries in there and know that you'd pick them up when you were ready. It was nice to have team Main Road and know that as a team, and I know it was only me and you because we decided that Gary would be an obstruction to the he'd hold the team back, but everything did get relayed. He was still fully in the loop. That was a lot easier than having to pick the phone up to a high street estate agent and only talk to them in office hours. Yeah, it was more of a personal experience, definitely.
I don't mind actually the fact that I could keep you in the loop at that time, because it just means that rather than you going to sleep panicking, not sleeping too well, you just know, oh, I know John's taking care of this, or he's on it.
Yeah.
So I can relax and just chill out that night.
Yeah, we were definitely informed all the way through, and I think that little bubble of information was a big part of it.
What surprised you about my services?
I don't think anything surprised me. I'd already been following you and your sales on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And really, when I decided that it was time to have the bungalow valued, I'd already made the decision that, well, I like what I'm seeing John doing. I'll now find out whether he does what he says on the tin. And I very quickly made my mind up that you did. I was just pleased that you'd followed up with your actions the package that you offered at the start, because when you came to value it and we hammered out what we thought would be the right guide for the selling price, and we talked about selling fees, and estate agents' fees. You weren't the cheapest, but you justified why your charges were what they were and why they were a little higher than some high street estate agents. If that service was as good as you made it sound, then we were happy to pay that extra commission. And it was. Actually, not diminishing anything that you did at all, I wasn't surprised, because I believed in your integrity. You said that's what you'd do, you did it.
So I had a couple of gaps in my career where I came out of the industry to come back in again, but I did spend well over 12 years within high street estate agency, where I was targeted to go out and list properties X amount a month. You had no choice, get it done. I knew 50% of the people that I'd go and meet and say what service we provide, it wasn't me doing that. It was the office that I was based at doing it.
Yeah.
And I knew that I'm giving them all this great stuff that we can do, and knew full well, actually, you might not get what you're paying for. The ones we've got away with it were the ones that sold really quickly, because you wouldn't know.
Yes.
The ones that took a bit longer soon got found out.
Yeah.
And I hated that for years. Yeah. It really bothered me. So I think that's why I pride myself on saying, look, this is what we're going to do and why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why it makes it work.
Yeah, that's right. So, like I say, the only experience I've had throughout the years is mainly buying and not selling. Now, some of the purchasers dragged out a bit. Like this one, for instance, I remember putting the offer in on this cottage in the July, and I didn't actually get the keys until the following February. And there was long periods of time when I didn't have a clue what was going on. I'd get back in touch with the estate agent, say, I'm all good, I've got my mortgage offer, I've got my deposit ready, I've got nothing to sell, I'm ready. What's holding it up? And they'd have to go away and get the file out, and because you were never dealing with the same person, it was just whoever picked the phone up. So you'd got no thread running. So every time I rang up to make inquiries, I'd have to explain the full scenario again. When you're dealing with somebody that's, got his own company, or we'll call it a one-man band, that process is so much quicker because I don't need to explain to you what I explained to your colleague yesterday. That for a seller or a buyer, that's great because we haven't got time, have we, in our busy lives to keep picking the phone up and explaining again. I do, exactly as you've just said, I do remember disappearing, into no man's land for months. Once they'd agreed the sale and they kind of secured us in as a buyer and a seller, we were forgotten because they were on, obviously, to the next place they were making the commission from.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get their money out of our sale when it finally went through. And that was maybe what I couldn't understand. I can remember thinking, well, come on, you've got a reason to push this through quicker as well, because you surely want paying for what you're doing. There didn't seem to be any urgency, and I found the same actually with lots of solicitors that I've used over the years. It's expected that even a straightforward sale, no other properties in it, will take 12 weeks. Why? What takes 12 weeks when there's just one seller and one buyer of one property? But it just seems to be the norm.
That's another conversation to have because I'm actually interviewing Karen in the next few weeks. I like to get across exactly why she's super efficient and the rest of them aren't. It's not entirely true, but the vast majority you come across are just awful.
Yeah.
Solicitors themselves, some of them even know the fact that they do work to a certain regime of which I'll do things in my time. Even if they're working for you as the client, they'll do it in their own space and time. And not to their clients' wishes and wills. An arrogance around conveyancing, where because they are legally qualified, that arrogance comes across as, I'll tell you when we do the next thing, not you the other way around, but they'll tell you, yes, you are my client, but this is the next stage, when actually your file's been on their desk for 3 weeks under the bottom of all the rest of them. Yeah, and it's really frustrating.
And again, is there no urgency that they actually want their fee out of that transaction? Because the longer it sits on their desk, the more chance it is the transaction might fall apart, and then you might not get paid.
One of the fundamental issues with estate agents, only for me and from experience, which is that they're targeted so heavily to turn over the business as quick as they can. List 100 houses in a month, you sell 60%, the other 40%, you'll either reduce in price next month or they'll withdraw. But that doesn't matter because the next month you list another 100 and got to go again. So that's why you do get forgotten.
Yeah.
And the staff in the office that are taking the phone calls in that may be also chasing your file for sales progression, they're also being targeted to sell houses, which makes them money. So which are you going to do? The one that makes you money and gets your target hit? Or that one that's just churning away by itself?
Just chuggling along.
And I've been in that position and I know what that's like. I understand it. The rest of the world has real estate agents, a realtor, someone like me who you have as your direct point of contact for buying and selling. But the only country has a estate agency in a high street.
Right.
They're about 25, 30 years behind the times.
Estate agents and solicitors have got to realise that for most people, it is a massive big deal selling your house or buying a house. It is quite scary territory. Some people need to be guided, quite closely along the way. Certainly the ones that don't even understand the terminology and they're not sure what it is you're asking. Yeah, when I look back years ago, I can remember, getting a voicemail and an estate agent was saying, or maybe the solicitor was asking me for my fixtures and fittings inventory. And another really important piece of information that was quite early on in the process. Because I didn't really understand what it was they were asking, I didn't understand the time scale. Probably 10 days later, we really need that document. I think then I bothered to tell him that I don't think I've received it through the post from you yet. But, that was because I was a novice as well. This was completely different with you this time. The documents came, we went through them together, and the documents went away. Box ticked.
What would you change if you were selling again?
Not my estate agent.
Good timing, Gary.
I think I've got a really short and sweet answer to that, and nothing springs to mind that I need to change from the process that we had. The photos were fantastic. Property description, all done by yourself, was great. Handling of the viewings was you took control of all of that.
The film was good.
Yeah, the
I
filming.
loved the bit of drone footage
With the
going out of
drone,
the
yeah, that was
the
all
pool.
great. The way we agreed on the starting price, I thought was very client centered. We had a good brainstorming session. We talked about the uniqueness of that property, with it having the swimming pool, and then why the property went on the market for the price it did. There's nothing I would change.
What was your knowledge of estate agents prior to selling?
Yeah, really only of my previous experiences, and knowledge or my experience previously was, like we've just said, you very soon realised you just became a number on a list. You got a little bit more to the top of the list when your completion date was becoming a little bit more of a priority. Go back into the fold again, and you might get a little bit more involvement from your estate agent. So that was me, yeah, my main experience. And they were all very similar.
So what is your understanding of how the property market works when it comes to selling your house? So your understanding.
My understanding was you make a decision, you're looking at your property going on the market. Your first peg in the ground needs to be get a valuation. I think it's important that you perhaps get a little bit of research done prior to that valuation to see what is going on in your local area. You've maybe got an expectation of what you think your value is going to be worth, so that it's not going to be a shock either way when yours is valued. Right at the start of the process, I know that there's quite a hive of activity, and for your estate agent to probably come back in my previous experience, your estate agent then kind of pops his head back up towards the end of the process, say, yeah, this is your exchange of contract, this is your completion date, and haven't we all done well? And give us your keys. Starting, knowledge and what's going on at the end. The bit in the middle, that was the bit that I wasn't really sure how detailed that'd get.
Going back to the research bit, because you'd be surprised how many homeowners don't do that. I find that quite a bit of a strange one. Why did you feel it was important to not get a shock on either side of the scale?
Because I think you've got to manage your expectations. For instance, and this is a conversation that I've had with other people, that have either been selling or they've tried to sell, and maybe it's been priced wrong. I think as a seller, estate agents just need to bear in mind that once they've put a price tag on your property, and it might be quite a nice high price tag, that seller, they're fixed on that price. That is what that house is worth. They've already spent that money. If they've priced it too high, as you explained to us, those very first important few days, first maybe couple of weeks, if you then want to go back to that seller and explain to them that it's not actually worth that much, that's quite a big mindset to try and change. In their head, it is worth that. When we did decide to go on the market, we were in very unusual times as well. We had just come out of COVID. Main feedback that we were getting from anybody that wanted to buy a property, and even from yourself, there wasn't much available. There was more buyers than there were properties to sell. If that's where the market is, this looks like it could be a good time to launch. I think we were right. We've seen subsequently, only 6 months after we moved out, other properties in that area are struggling to sell because the market's changed. So that research for us was really important before we talked to you what we thought the price bracket should be. Yeah, we were forewarned is forearmed.
Whilst the market has changed, it's still a market you can get yourself sold in. It's just making sure all the steps that you just talked about are taken the right way. And if it's not, you're in trouble. More so now than before. Before you could get away with it. Now you can't get away with that.
No. If we were perhaps trying to put that property on the market now, would we have had such a smooth, quick transaction?
One thing I put on the brochure is the running costs, to find out what you are currently paying for your gas, electric, your water, and your council tax. So people can then work out themselves and budget. Can I afford this? Or not?
And that's a massive part of the decision.
If you were talking to 100 people, each of them were looking for an estate agent to sell their house, what would be your best recommendation to them?
Think carefully about the experience that you will get with a more bespoke estate agency, a smaller practice like yourself, against with your high street estate agencies, what time they've got to manage the process themselves, or how they feel about their level of experience in buying and selling. Just consider the team that you are going into. If you feel that you are somebody that needs to be guided along, it may cost a little bit more, but there's a good chance that you will get a better experience out of it. The value to us of having that person leading the team, we knew that the process was being managed well without us having to keep our finger on the button all the time. I would say just choose carefully what type of experience you want.
If you were speaking to someone that perhaps had gone down the DIY service and had come unstuck and were wondering, why isn't this working? What would you say to them?
Well, I think my first thing I might say, you get what you pay for. I don't know whether they do the photographs themselves or whether they do the write-up themselves or whether the actual agency provide that. But then everything after that, managing the viewings, developing the process along, I know they have been responsible for that without any real guidance from the online estate agents. I do know a few people have got within maybe a few weeks of the transaction completing, and then it's fallen to bits and they're kind of in no man land then, which I know this can happen with any estate agent. I know it can happen with high street estate agents. If they perhaps had joining a team that was being managed in a tighter fashion, somebody would have been able to intervene before it got to the point where the transaction fell apart. I believe that is something that you would actually see potentially the problems bubbling up before it got to the blow point of you having to say to your seller, I'm really sorry, but they've pulled out. But that's all part of that service, which you don't get with an online estate agent.
There are multiple red flags that you can spot even from the viewing stage, and if you spot them early, you've got a conscious decision to make, which is, do I tell this seller that potentially this could fall through because my gut's telling me this is something's off?
And that's experience as well, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. Or
That's
do I just take the gamble on it and just set it, hope for the best, if it falls through, we'll try and sell it again later on. Or I've been in both those two positions now. So if I didn't get that house sold over my colleague, I wouldn't get my target hit for the week. So I'd go ahead and do it. Knowing that might not even get through to completion.
So you're target driven rather than going on what your experience and your gut instinct is telling you.
And it would fall through. And I knew it wouldn't last, but I got it sort of my colleague, which got me a bit high at the league table that week, which meant I can go on target to hit my end of year target. I don't blame them. That's what they're paid to do. That's their job.
Yeah. So the sales people.
Now it's my name on the board, and that's my brand. And that's me. It's not I can't afford to, but I refuse to, on a complete moral compass again, to say I'm not going to let my client, who's given me their trust to sell their house, go and get tripped up and get burnt down the line, knowingly something's not quite right. I'm going to voice it at the start. I'm going to tell them why this is not the right thing to do. But I've got a 93% success rate as a result of that attitude, right? Because I won't let someone be put towards a bad buyer. But with the market in the way that it is at the moment, you can still get the house sold. You can still find a buyer, but the buyers now are limited. Whereas last year, before, we had multiple choice of buyers. There were 5, 10, even 12 to 15 offers you could choose from. It was great for me to go, right, here's a list. I'm recommending that one for these reasons. And the vendor would listen to me, take my advice, take that offer, get to completion. Now in a stage we're having to accept what comes in. and work with that the best we can do.
And this just shows, I mean, in such a short space of time, you know, only 18 months ago, really, we were sitting going, let's get Main Road on the market. And we were right at the top of the bubble. And now, 18 months later, we've got all of these challenging factors not carrying the property market along the same as they were 18 months ago. But good properties can still sell with good guidance.
Would you recommend my services again?
Let me think about. I think back to when we were selling Main Road, and then think back to quite a few properties that you then launched that could have been somehow linked.
Oh yes.
To me or
Yes.
Gary or our sale. When you kind of get the thread of where I'm going, you know that we would, and we have many times recommended that people at least let you go and value, listen to the service that you're offering. And we've said to people, yeah, John's not the cheapest, but he's not offering a cheap service. You know, some people have said, well, we are kind of budget driven, so they've gone the other way with the high street. Some people that had got more prestigious property to sell and wanted that same level of service that we got, they went your way. And so then off the back of that property, that kind of then mushroomed out because they then recommended you to actually other links in that chain, didn't they? I think there was one chain that you got all 4 properties.
4. I should have gone grey with that one, to be honest. It was a tiring one. But actually, at the very end of it all, so I've worked one out. I've got yours, so Main. That one. There's 6 properties that went on the market with me because of me selling your house.
Yeah.
One was linked to, 4 were linked together, and 2 are the ones that saw the boards.
That's right.
Which all was a knock-on effect.
And I think 2 of those that saw the boards, one of those had actually been chatting to Gary or Matt in the pub and just kind of singing your praises for, you know, our experience. The other one had seen, again, the pictures and the filming of our property, liked that, and then obviously, you know, found you as well that way. It soon mushroomed, didn't it? Because I was happy to make that recommendation to somebody that we knew really well. And then they were obviously happy to make that recommendation again to somebody that they knew really well. And then in the end, yeah, you've got a pretty full chain there. But, you know, fun. Testament to the service you provide.
The hardest part now of my job, believe it or not, is at the very end. Because I spend, it can be 6 to 9 to 10 months talking to someone every single day. You get to know each other really, really well. It's strangers normally, most of them are. Strangers from the start, don't know me, no reason to trust me really.
Yeah.
But by the end, we know each other's ups and downs in life, we know each other's family issues, each other's jobs.
Yeah, you kind of know how that person's going to, and how you're going to react to that certain situation. And
we've got emojis, we've got videos being sent via WhatsApp, we've got all sorts of memes being sent because they just enjoy the camaraderie. But it's actually quite a sad day for me on completion because it's like, I've lost a friend.
Yeah,
they've gone,
and it's weird. The first few weeks, I can honestly say, it's weird that you're not doing that touch base thing, which is why I did carry on touching base, you know, through the well, I mean, I've got your telephone number anyway, but it's a weird thing. You've almost got to wean yourself off. So as a seller, I almost needed to kind of wean myself off of that touching base team partnership because the transaction was done. You know, I'm carrying on with life. You're doing your job. In a way, you're like, oh, I'm going to miss you, and I do like to just keep still, you know, touching base. What is happening in the market, in the property market at the moment?
In a nutshell, October 2022 was like the credit crunch 2008 in a month. It was horrific. Markets panicking, banks panicking, interest rates shooting through the roof, Bank of England base rate going up. Everyone hit the pause button. Naturally, that's going to stop people from spending money or thinking about buying a house. I even told 2 clients to withdraw and come back in spring.
Yeah.
And they were grateful for that open, honest advice.
Yeah.
That's me. That's my income.
Yeah.
I'm telling that client to come off the market for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's something they just don't do. But the moral side of it was, I know right now there's no point doing this. The market's panicked. Come off. Let's come back when the market confidence, things have calmed down a bit, and confidence is coming back.
Yeah.
We're now at a point. There's a nice little crossover. The Bank of England base rate is around the 4% mark. It could go to 4.5%, but the mortgage rates are coming down. They are going to continue to come down because the mortgage lenders, they're all wanting to compete for the same business. Because there's a shortage of buyers out there, they all want that buyer. The market is recovering from the panic of October and November. A market where you have to be super smart, need to hire a proactive estate agent. You also need to be realistic. And you mentioned about researching your house value before, so you know where things sit. Too many homeowners aren't doing that. They're inviting out the standard 3 estate agents and still picking, most of the time, the highest value.
Yeah.
This market isn't doing that at the moment, if that's levelling out again.
Yeah.
The other thing to mention is, again, choosing a proactive estate agent. But when the market is hard and it's got fewer buyers, you've got to work for it, proactive means ringing buyers, ringing sellers with a house to sell. It means using social media to its full potential.
Yeah.
It means filming a property.
Yeah.
It means getting traction. The amount of houses that I film and fire through social media in the correct way get people tagged in what you call the passive market. And you can spur a market and you can bring it to you.
Yeah.
That's what we call being proactive.
I think one of the most valuable things that you taught us in regards of the price, that you launch at, one thing that I'd not considered was how you'd explained to us that actually, if you are then in a position where your price reducing, if you're not careful, that can work against you, because then, if you have gone on a cheeky daft price and it's obvious that the market think, no, we're not paying that, and then you see a price reduction, which again you explained, they're all there and very visible and transparent on the internet. The buyers out there are starting to think, well, what is this property actually worth? That for us was an important lesson to learn. We took the experienced advice and not just tried to get on the market at as big a price as possible and thinking that it was okay to reduce if we wanted to. That point, you made that to us quite early on, and I never forgot that. If you were selling my house now, what would you do differently, if anything?
Nothing.
No.
When you know exactly what's going to work for a house like that because you've done it before, I've seen how not to do it and then worked out what does work, what doesn't work, and then kept up to speed with what the changes are in the marketplace and how things have changed from 2005 to 2023. The world's moved on since then a hell of a lot. So if you learn about that, then you understand then and keep up to speed with how things are changing, you can then get the process right straight away. Yeah. There are too many estate agents that are still relying on Rightmove and Zoopla because they can't, or perhaps don't want to do any more than that because they're not paid to do that. Yeah. For me, it's different. It's, no, I'm going to make this house look incredible.
They give it the wow factor.
Absolutely.
Because this is a business to you, and to many others it's a job.